Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Shirt Up Tea Tuesdays. It is your girl V, and I hope you're having a wonderful day today. If not, just keep holding on. It gets better. It gets better. So I have a wonderful guest, but before we bring her into the fold, I want to tell you about what's so special about the 10th of October, and we're going to talk about this throughout the segment. But today is National Mental Health Awareness Day. And so the resource for today is NAMI. And so if you haven't noticed, there's been all these different postings and things that's going on through NAMI. But with NAMI, we actually have Share the NAMI Teen and Young Adult Helpline. So this is really important. You can call 1-800-950-6264 or text friend to 62640, or you can even email the helpline at nami.org. And so I just kind of want to share that with you guys real quick. Everybody on the other side can kind of see what I'm doing, but it's okay. But I just kind of want to share that with you. I have posted it to my social media because it's important for our youth to understand that we support them. Remember, I was young back in the day, and so sometimes we feel, and I can say we as if I'm young way back when, we feel like we're not being heard by others, or our parents don't get us, or our parents are not understanding what's going on with us. And so I encourage you to share that with a youth that would be able to benefit from being heard from someone. All right. All right, there's your resource for today. Now let's bring in my special guest. Are you guys ready? All right, let's tune her in. Hello, Felicity. How are you?
I'm good, V. How are you?
I'm good, V. How are you? Oh, not too bad. Not too bad. I can't complain. I mean, I don't think it's gonna do any good if I try to complain. So I'm good.
It's always good to hear.
So,
It only gets
so
better. It gets better.
yes, it does. It does get better. We have to keep holding on, right? We can't just, you know, give up at
No,
times.
we can't.
Right. No, we can't. No, we cannot. So, Felicity, let us know, where are you from? I hear something special coming from your voice there.
I'm actually an Aussie, but I live in Canada.
Ah, she's actually from Aussie, but you live in Canada. Mm. I've never been to either one. I'm gonna have to go one day before my lifespan ends over here. I'm gonna have to make sure I make a trip. But
At least
speaking
once
of
you have to go to Australia.
Australia, right? At least once.
At least
At
once.
least once. So so speaking of Australia, there's this. I mean, I don't know if you know him or not, but there's this really handsome actor that plays Wolverine, Hugh Jackman. Child.
He is handsome, but I don't know him. I don't know him personally. The closest I
Oh,
get
okay.
to got to a star was Richard Branson one time. That's it.
Ah, okay. Darn it. Okay, I was gonna say, can you invite him over for tea so I can just be like hi and probably pass out at the same time?
He's having tea at my house first.
Right. I'll just drive by, be like, dun dun, hi. Okay, so from Australia, but you're in Canada.
Mhm.
Now, that's a big transition there. So, what's the weather like in Canada right now? Because it's
Uh,
fall and
we've
everything.
got a little bit of summer left, but fall is definitely here and winter is on the way. We had snow in the mountains a week and a half ago, and it's already coming.
Wait,
Oh yeah,
snow.
yep. Our winters usually last about 6 or 7 months, depending on the year, and we are -20 or colder for half of that.
Wait. Okay, slow down, Felicity, because I may need to scratch Canada off the list. Because if you saying winter is 6 months,
Yes. Yep.
uh, okay, and negative 20. Mm.
Mhm. Or colder. The coldest I have experienced was minus 52.
What? Girl,
Why
I'm
did I
sorry.
come here? I questioned myself that for a very long time.
Oh my gosh. Wait a minute. Negative 50. I can't even, girl. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. I don't even want to ask you how high your electric bill is because I wouldn't want to go outside. Right. I wouldn't want to go outside. I'd be like, oh no, I'm done. I'm done. If you need anything, you better call somebody else. Get somebody else to do it.
Yep.
Woo.
So the first year I was here, I was pretty much an inside person, and the thermostat was set to a very healthy 29. And then I learned, and then I learned some of the tricks that actually help keep the house warmed in the winter. So we plastic the windows, and there's make sure there's all the cracks are boarded up, and we put extra layers on. That's one thing that saves you over here is layers, lots of layers.
Layers. Okay. Okay. Now I mean, I have to ask since we have talked so bad about the winter, but for the summer, how hot does it get?
We've gotten 45 over here.
Wait, what?
Yep,
Wait, what?
45 degrees
Hey,
Celsius was the hottest we've had over here.
no.
Hmm. So we have both sides of the extreme, which
Okay.
yeah, it's fun living in where we are. We're in Calgary, so we're on the prairies, right next to the mountains. So we get all of the super cold off the mountains, plus all of the heat coming from the plains.
Oh.
So we're stuck in this annoying position where we get the extremes of both ends of the weather.
Right. Not annoying, but I'm quite sure it's beautiful there. So that just probably takes away everything. It's just
It
so
does.
beautiful and we don't
It does.
like, oh, good. Oh well. So Felicity, thank you for coming on Share the Tea and just talking about the podcast because I know some people are probably wondering and some people ask me this, like, where do you find your guests? And to be truthful, this was just on Facebook,
It was.
right?
We are in the podcast women's group together.
Yes, yes. And so, how long have you been podcasting, or when did you start podcasting, I should say?
I started podcasting early 2017, and I started as an internet marketing coach. That was where I started online. That kind of led into, okay, I don't just want to coach on internet marketing strategies. I actually want to go back to what I've been working towards my entire life, which is life coaching and counseling. So it kind of all went together at the same time. I had my internet marketing business over here, and then I went and started my counseling life coaching business over there. And they kind of went hand in hand for a long time.
Oh wow. So starting off with podcasting, did you enjoy it or did it kind of make you a little nervous back
Well,
when?
I was terrified. I was terrified. The very first time I got on and did any podcast, I was, well, I'm here. Hi, I'm Felicity. I have horrible stage fright. It took me a good year to get past that. It was
Oh
something else.
wow. Oh wow. Well, that's good, especially if you had stage fright going on. I mean,
All
I
I
know
could.
a couple people that hate speaking in front of people, so
Mhm.
you're doing pretty well.
What changes is I got a coach. I got a mentor. And we sat down for a really long time, and she's like, stop planning it. Just find something that you can talk about for 5 to 10 minutes that you have a lot of passion or you have a lot of knowledge that you want to pass on to somebody, and just start talking about it. And I'm like,
Wow.
really? Really? She's like, oh, you'd be surprised. I'm like,
Hmm.
okay. And I just started going. So I'm a very spiritual person. I have a lot of experience working with mental health, particularly anger, angry teens. So when I was in Australia, I worked at a martial art club, and we got all the teens that were under anger management. It was either you go deal with your anger or you're going to jail.
Oh, I'm gonna
We
deal
had
with
those
it.
teens. Yeah.
Oh wow. And
So
did they usually pick to deal with their anger?
they
Okay,
usually
just
did
making
pick to
sure.
deal with the anger. It was about every 2 out of 10, I'd say, were like, no, I'll just go to jail and I'll get the rap for it. And it was like this street cred thing, and I'm like,
Uh, yeah.
there's always those kids, but the ones that came to us, They go, why would you give these really angry, really violent kids martial arts? It's like, because there's a set of rules that come with it, for respect for yourself, for your teachers, for your peers. The confidence that comes with being able to have all that power and that skill to do insane damage if you really wanted to, but you don't, because you also learn that there's other people that have been doing it a lot longer than you have that are going to pull you in line if we find out about it, and you're going to jail if you breach. So,
Right.
it wasn't the ideal way we wanted to start it, but what we found was that they were starting to talk to their friends who were in foster system, in the foster homes that they were coming from, because that's where we were seeing these kids come through. Like, there's this group of people out here that aren't going to judge us. Like, they want to help us. Like, they know we've got stuff going on.
Wow.
They want to help us. Come with me. So that's how we started kind of growing our youth outreach program.
Oh, wow. That's wonderful. That's and definitely making a difference.
Mm-hmm.
Making a difference. And have you did you ever notice or realize that once they went through that program, they did like a complete 360 where they weren't as angry anymore and they made some major changes in their lives?
About 85% of the kids that came through, yeah. I say kids because I feel old now. I'm 34. I feel old now talking about it.
34.
I feel old, and my kids tell me that I'm old on a daily basis. Mom, you're old,
Like, no, I'm not. I am not old until I'm 99, okay?
right? I'm not old, but about 85% of the kids that came through the program, they did. They made huge turnarounds. They were back in school. They graduated school. They went into university or trade
Right.
colleges. They stayed with the club. As far as I know, most of them are still there today. They're now senior higher
Wow.
ranks within the club themselves and working with the younger kids in the lower classes. So it was it was something that we tried, and we started with one kid. It always started with one, and
Right.
he was the most. It wasn't just anger. There was this rage that he had against everyone and anyone in any sort of authority position. He was
Mm.
17. It was his third strike in Australia, and he was looking at a 10-year sentence at 17.
Oh no.
Yeah. So the judge gave him one more chance, and it was like, you go and you find something that's going to deal with your anger, or you're not coming out until you're much older. Like this, we're done. So he came to us. His parents actually brought him to us, and we couldn't get through to him for about 3 weeks. He sat in the back of the class. He came to the classes. He did the basic, whatever he had to do, all the moves, but we couldn't actually reach him until he piped up one day and went, I can take on all of you. I've taken down this guy and that guy. He's like 6'1". The ego on this kid that was just
Right.
talking, I couldn't believe it. And we're like, let him run with it. And all the black belts are like, you're gonna what now? I'm like, let him run with it. I put any of our girls against him, and they're gonna kick his butt.
Uh-oh.
So we had this little 13-year-old who's a black belt. He's like, yeah, I'll fight her. I've got her. I'm not even gonna try hard. And he was playing. He was being a smart aleck, and she kicked his butt because he hit her right here. And the problem is that she sees red when she gets hurt. So when she saw red, it kind of flipped this switch, and she stopped playing with him back, and she actually went after him. Yeah, she knocked him unconscious.
Oh God. Gee.
We called an
Not
ambulance. He was fine. There was no concussion. He was only unconscious for about 10 seconds. But after that, he went, they can they can really take me down. We're like, yeah, we know. See, it's not the anger that drives her, it's the fact that she has the power and the technique behind it. So if you want
right.
this to work, it can work. But we're not going to put any effort into this unless you're willing to do the work as well.
Mm. There you go.
And he's like, okay, I don't want to go to jail. I'm like, I don't think you want to go to jail.
I
So
don't
can we
think you
like
want to.
start this again fresh? Like the last 3 weeks didn't happen. Yes. And it
Yes.
went from there. He was amazing.
Oh wow.
Complete turnaround in about 9 months.
Well, that's good. That's good.
Hmm.
9 months. So the program that you're speaking of, is it, I mean, do they have to do the program for 9 months? Or, I mean, if they are 15, do they get to stay in there until, they feel like they're ready to go? Or
So
is it a
we had
time
regular
limit?
check-ins with parole
Okay.
officers, and there were um, kind of milestones that they had to reach,
Mm-hmm.
that they need to see progress in the kids. And what they found was that the more they interacted and they were going out into the community, there was no reports of reoffending for whether it was assault or it was theft or whatever it was. There was no reports of reoffending. When they actually came in, they were civil. Their whole demeanor was changing. So some of the kids were in there for 2 years. I think was our longest one that we had, and that was when I was still in Australia. And but this young man was determined to change his life. He was determined not to be that person that was going to jail.
Yes. It's okay.
Don't mind my door. So he completely changed his life around, and it totally depends on how willing they are to actually take on the work that it needs to change. And
Mm.
that's the same in any self-help or help program or even counseling. You can only do so much unless someone's actually willing to put the work in on the other side, because otherwise it's like talking to a brick wall.
Right. Makes a difference. You got to put in the work in order to want to change. Oh my goodness. I love this program. I know that there are different programs that are out here for, they may call it at-risk youth, or children that are prone to get into trouble. But I think it really makes a difference when they have a good mentor, someone that they can look up to, and they trust.
Hmm.
Like you said from the beginning, they have to really trust you, because they've been hurt in the past by people that they trusted. So why should I be any difference with you? It
Exactly
makes
right.
a difference. Yeah. Oh wow. So was that the start of your journey with mental health?
It was.
Okay.
It was. So I had my own issues that I was dealing with for a very long time. Um, I came from a home where we didn't really talk about our feelings or our mental health. We
It's okay.
That would
The
be my
family's
seven
coming
inch.
home and they're making it. Family coming home and they're like, "Hi," making all noises. It's okay.
So I have my own mental health issues that I was dealing with. I've dealt with anxiety and depression and insomnia pretty much my entire adult life.
Okay.
Then that stemmed from my own lack of caring for myself.
Mhm.
When I was working full time, going to uni full time, doing martial arts full time. So this insomnia kind of kicked in, and I had a couple of very bad relationships where they were psychologically, physically, and emotionally abusive to me, which all kind of compounded together. And I didn't deal with it. And
Okay.
it all kind of came to the forefront in my second year of university. I actually failed out of my second year of university.
Was it, do you feel like you failed because it was too much, or like the lack of support, or just overall?
It was the
'Cause-
lack of support. So I had 6 close friends and family die on me in 3 month span
oh
leading
my.
up to the finals of my second year of university, and I
Okay.
didn't deal with it.
Yes.
So
That is a
I
lot.
imploded 6 weeks before finals. I imploded because they give you all of this time off to go and study and make sure you're prepared and ready for your final exams. And I didn't. I sat on the couch and watched reruns of Charmed on repeat. I must have done all 8 seasons about 3 times. And it was 2 weeks before finals when my mom over, who was a psychologist, came over for dinner, and I didn't realize that she was shrinking me the entire time.
Oh.
Yeah. And at the end of the dinner, she pulled me aside with my mom. She's like, "You're depressed." I'm like, "I don't know what you're talking about." She's like, "You're depressed." No, I have no idea what you're talking about. And my mom's like, "How can she be? She never talks about anything." That's exactly why I know. And everything that she's
Mm.
done, all the little things, the lack of response, the affect, she's very flat with her tone, and her whole demeanor is just not caring, not really engaging anything with the world around her.
Right.
I need to work with her every day for the next 2 weeks, whether I come here or she comes to my office. We have to fix this. And that was kind of the start of my journey. And she was amazing. She was my therapist for 2.5 years in Australia and was really happy when I said that I was going to travel and go work around the world, because she
Okay.
knew that was actually one of my goals for a very long time, was to do that. Um, and then when I got to Canada, there was similar situation where the job that I came with fell through. So I was kind of, oh crap, and stressed about that because I didn't know what was going to happen with my visa. I was really lucky; it was an open visa, so I could work anywhere that I wanted to. But we had, again, got into a bad relationship, and the abuse was real. I met my husband. I told him I was leaving. Said I was leaving for months. Um, I technically left him, but I didn't leave the house because I had nowhere to go. So I just kind of like stayed in my room in the house. And that's when I met my husband, my now husband. And we'd only been dating for 6 months.
Okay.
And he's like, "You need to leave. Like, you're coming to live with me. I can't watch you in that house any longer. You have to come with me." And it was probably the best thing that ever happened to me, because not long after that, there was a huge fight where there was gangs and guns and all sorts involved in that house
Oh goodness.
within the month after I left.
Yeah.
So,
Perfect timing.
yeah, I would
Yeah.
not be alive if it was not for my husband.
Oh goodness. Well, thank you, husband. I know you said that to him already, for making that change. And change can be difficult for all of us. I don't want to
Mhm.
say some of us, but for all of us, because change come in different magnitudes and the environment, and it affects everything that's going on. I do want to say I applaud you for being receptive to your mom's friend who ended up being your therapist. Just being receptive to what she was saying, because you could have shut her out and just said, no, I'm not listening. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yep.
Because that's what most people do. I want to
Because
ask you a
I didn't
question.
think I had a problem. I didn't think there was anything wrong.
Right.
That was the way that I was raised, right? You just deal with it
Mm-hmm.
and you don't talk to other people.
Don't bring people into your business. Yes,
Exactly.
that was going to be my question was, did you feel like you were betraying your family because you were telling her, things that were going on with you, and you were taught like you don't share those types of things with people. Did you feel betrayed at all?
It did quite a lot, and also the fact that I was betraying my parents,
Mm.
because it's always put out there, oh, you can talk to us about anything, but then when you bring up some of the hard subjects, like my great grandmother died, and I tried to talk to them about it, and like, oh, you'll be fine in a little, it's all right, it's okay to be sad, but you'll be fine. We never really talked about anything, and then every single time we had someone pass away, it was a very similar thing. Or if there was anything big going on, like I was in a car accident in Australia, my mom was in a car accident, so there's all of these different events, major events that happen. Oh, we'll be fine, just don't worry about it. So
Right.
actually talking about it with someone, to me, who was a complete stranger, I didn't know them at all. It was like, well, why didn't I tell my parents? And
But you
speaking of my
tried.
parents, my parents didn't learn about a lot of the stuff that I was going through and my abusive relationships from Australia and here in Canada until I actually wrote my book.
Oh, okay.
And then
That's
my
a good
mom
way
read
of
it.
finding out. It's
So,
okay.
sorry, mom. Sorry,
Well,
mom.
I think that speaks volumes what you just mentioned, because a lot of parents do that even in different cultures, where someone wants to talk about what's going on and they brush them, oh, you'll be okay, or you'll be fine. And we think that we're helping them, but we really are not, because I need to get something off my chest. And you're telling me I'm going to be okay when I'm not feeling okay,
Mhm.
you know?
And
But we,
they're usually not okay. And
right.
that's a huge, it's a huge failing in our society as a whole, particularly when it comes to our youth. So we've got these old ideas, which are from the baby boomers, which is what Gen X was raised on, where we don't talk about these things. It'll be right. Just don't worry about it. Deal with it. You'll be fine. You'll get over it. But what we're finding now is that, and I can show you 100 studies that support this, is the fact that if we're going to ignore our youth in the critical stages where they're really starting to develop not only being a human being, but being a good human being and being able to express themselves and to be feel safe and confident, not only in themselves, but in the people around them.
Right.
If we don't show them that, A, it's okay to not be okay. If you're upset, if you're anxious, if you're nervous or you're frustrated, and you want to find a healthier way to let that out rather than just holding it all in, that's okay. Like we've been to rage rooms with the teenager that lives in this house. So, and he has some rage some days, but he's also he's in that high risk category. He's autistic. He's higher functioning, but we would rather him swear his head off when he is frustrated than punch holes in the wall.
Right. Right.
So teaching our kids now and all the youth, I say kids, but our youth are really that 12 to 25 category that they've been left behind. And if we're going to keep leaving behind, we're going to keep seeing all of these problems increase. So the depression rates, the BPD, the DID, the anxiety disorders, like you name it, it's just going to keep going up and up for the next 5 to 10 years because we're not dealing with it now.
Right.
We
That's
think
true.
they think my generation is the most over medicated generation. This next generation is going to be the most over medicated generation.
Definitely. 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 Because they are already um, experiencing several ways of trauma.
Hmm.
Uh, COVID alone was traumatic for a lot of people. But going through that as a young adult or a youth is even worse. And now everything is more technology based. Everything is, you have this cyberbullying that's kind of out of control, and the stalking and all this other stuff, and peer pressure, and I mean the list just keeps going on and on and on. But we do have to do something. So it makes us wonder, like, where do we start? Where do we start to talk to our youth about what's going on? Like, hey, I can see, and this is a good question I'm gonna ask you, because some people feel like, I'm fine. What do you mean? Because you talked
Hmm.
about your effect earlier, but a lot of times it's written on our faces. We can tell that something is not well because it's
Not
on your
right.
face. Right. It's in your eyes, your
Hmm.
eyebrows, your cheeks. It's all there. We can tell. But some people feel like I can just put this mask on and I'm doing okay. And you're like, no, I don't think so.
No, when you see people and they usually they talk with their hands all the time and their facial expressions are, and then they just sit there like, and this is their face for the rest for however long you see them, and nothing
Hmm.
kind of really phases them. It's like, okay, I know something's wrong.
Right.
Oh, nothing's wrong. What's
Something's
so?
going on. Right.
And those of us in the industry, you kind of get this BS detector going on, where they come in and they go, "Oh no, I'm fine." Really,
Mm, really?
really. You want to run that one by me again? Because I'm gonna tell you like 5 things that I'm seeing right now. So,
Right.
so
I like
we
that
kind of
BS
call them
detector.
out. And I do have a therapist still now. Her name's Marie, and she's the therapist that all the therapists go to because her BS meter is like up here somewhere. Because as professionals, we get so good at making that mask that we
Hmm.
have to go someone who's better at reading our mask than we read other people's masks.
Bingo. Yep,
So,
absolutely.
you know, but she's amazing and she's always calling me out. Like if I ever have a problem, and I still with the youth that I deal with, and particularly now with the job that I have, the situations and the
Hmm.
clients that we deal with now, I it brings things up from my own past, and it brings up, well, how's that I got out of quite violent situations and other people can't. What is it now that is stopping them from moving out? Or on the flip side, why is the service that the company that I work for, why is it here now? And why wasn't it there to help me then?
Mm.
I've had both of those. So going back to her, she's like, you do know that things change with time. I'm like, yeah, I know that. She's like, things change with time.
That's true.
Yeah, okay. And you had to go through that to experience what it was so then you can help and be in the position that you are. Okay, Marie. Okay, Marie.
That makes sense, Marie.
Like, and it does, but when you're stuck in that mental spiral, it's like, why?
Yes. Why me? Why is this happening?
Hmm.
And then it also makes you feel like when things are happening to you, it makes you feel like you are like you're a magnet to bad things.
Yep.
Like every time I try to do something good, this keeps happening, or and that plays a mental toll on you. And then you start to doubt yourself.
Hmm.
You start to feel less than. I mean, it just keeps going and going. Um, so with that, we talked about that change, but let's explore the other C word with coping. Um, what is difficult about coping?
Difficult about coping is
Mm-hmm.
that you try and cope with too much all at once.
Oh, I like that one.
You
You
see
you
it,
try
you
to
see
cope
it
with too much at once.
too much at once. So
Okay.
that's where you get a lot of people that are experiencing burnout, and we see this a lot in professionals. So
Mm-hmm.
you have people. I'm going to give you one of the examples of people that I've worked with in the past. He is, or he was, a trade broker. He worked in the stock market. That was his job. And he always had these deadlines, these increasing deadlines, not that the company set for him, but he actually set deadlines double or triple what the company was expecting out of him in a month. And he would try to do it all in a week. He was always trying, oh, yeah,
In a week.
in a week. So that when they're expecting, say, 3,000 in a month, $3,000 in a month, he was trying to do 9,000 in a week.
Oh,
He was ambitious, but what it was
very.
doing was he's dealing with not being able to do 3,000 in a month and trying to do it all in a week. Plus, he had issues going on at home. Plus, he was dealing with external family issues. And the colleagues were on both sides. Hey, good job. You actually did 8,000 this week. Yeah, but it wasn't nine. And they're like, you only had to do 3,000 a month. Why are you beating yourself up right about now? Like,
Right.
and then the other side of the colleagues, which were, oh my God, you're such an overachiever. You're just a brown noser. You're pushing for a promotion, blah, 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 blah. All of that. And what he was doing was he didn't believe that even if he had these high expectations, that he still wasn't good enough.
Mm.
So trying to cope with all of this means he couldn't cope with anything at all. So he ended up imploding, big imploding. He took time off his job. He took a 6-month sabbatical, and he had to deal with one thing at a time.
At a
Thankfully,
time.
he had savings kicking around, so his family was taken care of. He didn't have to worry about that. We worked on why he was so ambitious and why he set such high expectations for himself. And it's very cliche, but it's true. It stemmed from his early childhood, the fact that he has to be the best of the best to stand out from the crowd because he was one of eight.
Oh,
He
okay.
was one of eight, and his sisters and his brothers were all straight A students. They were on a roll. They had scholarships. He wasn't the best in school, so he always had to push himself a little bit harder to trying to compete with them, and it
Oh
kind of
goodness.
it ruined his mentality for a very long time.
And then flowing into his adulthood, thinking that he still has to compete on a job.
Hmm.
So even though you have given me this goal of 3,000, well, I gotta do three times as much. I gotta exceed that. Oh
Yeah.
goodness.
And now I'm going to do it in a week, and it's like, wow, dude,
Wow.
you need to
Yeah.
we need to talk about this. We need to work on this because this is unhealthy to maintain.
Right.
Seriously unhealthy to maintain. I know, I've been there. I've
Right.
been there.
But we are so terrified of failure.
Hmm.
We
And
all
if you
are.
don't meet the goals, then I'm a complete failure. And what is everyone going to think of me? I can't show my face in public. I can't show my to my parents because I've told them all about this job and how it's amazing and I've got all of this going on. And if I don't do what I say I'm going to do, then what are they going to say? What are they going to believe? That I'm lying about the whole thing? And that's another thing that always plays in the back of your mind that, oh, do you even have the job? Are you
Mm.
even working? Like, you get all of those doubts coming back in that may
Yeah.
not even happen, but because we've conditioned ourselves to believe that that's what's going to happen, that's what drives everything, every
It
decision.
is. Every decision. I always tell people that negative thoughts are like a floodgate or a dam,
Hmm.
right? So once it's open, if you just, open it just a little bit, you can only get so much pressure that comes through before it all just comes through. And it's difficult when you start to try to analyze each little thought that comes to. I mean, about the time you try to do that, you're exhausted. You haven't
Hmm.
been sleeping. You're having racing thoughts. I mean, you can even become paranoid. I mean, you're constantly just in a state of panic almost, or just what if I walk outside, somebody may try to hit me. What are you
Hmm.
talking about? But coping is, I like the way that you put that. We're coping with too many things at once. I like that because that makes a lot of sense. So you have to be able to analyze or list which one are the most important and be able to do one at a time. Hmm.
That's exactly right. Have you ever seen the golf ball experiment?
The golf ball. No, explain it to me.
Okay, so this is years old. I learned this in my first year of psychology. Professor stood up in front of his university students and gave them a jar and said, "Is the jar full?" And they said, "No." Okay, he filled it up with golf balls. He said, "Is the jar full now?" Yes. Took a bunch of pebbles, poured them in on top of the golf balls. Is the jar full now? Yes. Took a bunch of sand, poured it in, filled up every single little crevice it could. Is the
Uh-oh.
jar full now? Yes. Took water, poured the water into it.
Uh-oh.
Is the jar full now? Yes, the jar is now overfull because the water's coming out the top.
Right.
But what it represents is the fact that the golf balls are the big things in your life that you need to take care of first. And those are the things that bring you the most joy and fulfillment. So it's not always your job. Maybe if you live by yourself or you're single or that is your purpose is to drive towards a career because everything is about your career, maybe it is, but it's your family, it's your spiritual, emotional, intellectual, psychological health. Those are the big things that help to support you when dealing with the next things, which are the pebbles. So it's your job, your taxes, your mortgage, your bills, all of that sort of stuff. And then it's the little things, people's opinions, their ideas, their morality, people trying to get you to do things that you don't want to do and pull you in different directions. All the shiny objects that you could possibly have in life, those are the sand. And then the water is everything else. All right.
Hmm.
It's all the friends and the family outside of what you think is important to you that's just noise in the world. So, not taking care of those big things first, you can't take care of everything else. Because if you start with the little stuff, there is no room for the big stuff. And he showed it to them. He dumped the entire jar out, filled it up with water, then sand, then pebbles, then golf balls. And by the time it was like this far from the top of the jar, he could only get 2 or 3 golf balls in there. So you've got maybe an hour a week for your family, for your wife, for your children.
Hmm. I like that. I
Hmm.
like that. That is really. Now I hope you guys are visuals because I'm a visual person, so I can kind of see that. But that does speak volumes because sometimes we think we have to have everything, like you
Hmm.
mentioned, but we try to do it the reverse way, and
Yep.
then we don't have time for everything else, and we're trying to figure out why our relationships or our family dynamics is not as great as it needs to be. Good, good one. I like
Yep.
that one.
Well, that's
So
stayed with
what's
me ever since my first year of psychology.
yes? So does it put things into perspective for you?
It does.
It does. Okay.
Yeah. So when I'm struggling with things, particularly at work, Not so much now, but I used to struggle quite a lot with things at work. My husband was the last person that I talked to. He is now the first person that I talk to.
Right.
Because if I'm having a crappy day and he's had a crappy day, we're yelling at each other
Oh
as
yeah.
soon as we walk in the door. So if we've had a crappy day and one of us starts, it's like, dude, I need 5 minutes before I deal with whatever this is. I'm gonna be right back. I'm gonna go to the room for 5 minutes. I just, I get
Give
it.
me
He's
five.
had a bad day. I've had a bad day too. I'm not in the mood right now. Give me 5 minutes. And then if you want to fight, I'll listen to you and I'll walk away.
Right.
He does the same thing.
That's good.
So, and it tips that the 5 minutes after you come in that door, after work or school or whatever, and then, okay, is he really going to fight? I don't think he's going to fight, but I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go listen. I'm gonna go listen
Hmm.
because usually it's just someone to vent at.
Yeah.
It's not the fact that they're taking it out on you or anyone else. They just want someone to vent to, and
Mhm.
not coming in with the same the same
Right.
mindset allows you to really step back and go, okay, it's not personal.
It's not personal. I like that.
It's a
It's not
hard one.
personal. It is a hard one. And I appreciate you sharing that because I had to learn that in my marriage too. And because there were times I would come straight home, hey, Reggie, da, da, da. And he was like, oh, God. And
Like, oh,
he'll
she
probably think
started.
I would never see him do, but I've seen him do that. And I'd be like, oh, you don't want to talk to me? You have now I have an attitude because I feel
Yep.
like you don't want to talk. And he did have to say, he said, "Hun, I just need a minute because I'm on the phone all day talking to people. And so when you call, I don't really feel like being on the phone talking. I just need to have a break." And I appreciate him telling me that. But it took a while before he actually told me that. So in the meantime, I'm like, he just don't want to talk to me. And I haven't talked to you all day. But
Yep.
it is a learning journey. It is, especially when you're in a marriage, because you're not by yourself. You have to learn how to work together, to communicate together. So yeah, I appreciate you sharing it. That reminded me of that, and I was like, yeah, I did that to Reggie too. Yeah, I.
We've all done it. We've all done it, and it comes down to that one. The one thing that all marriage therapists will tell you: learn to communicate with each other. In whatever way you communicate with each other, you need to learn what works because we can give you tools all the day long,
Right. We
but
got
they don't
several
all work for
tools.
everyone. So you know,
That's true. That is true. They don't all work. So you have to figure out what works best for you. That's a good one. So what are some coping skills that you enjoy, or what is something that you like to do?
I'm an art person and a gardening. So art therapy was my way of putting my my dreams, my memories down on paper, and I journal. I have endless journals on my bookcases
Okay.
that I'll go back to from time to time, and I'll look through them, and I'm like, oh wow, that was really my thought pattern back. Ooh, okay, that was a dangerous thought pattern. Next page, and you kind of just going back through them. But art is my main thing that I use. I've painting, art, quilting. I'm a huge quilter. I did this one that took me 5 years, two continents to finish. But
5 years, two
it's a yin
continents.
yang one, and it's actually called Zen Gardens. So
Oh,
it took me a while to finish it because I didn't at the time feel that my life matched what I was doing in my art. So
okay.
I had to put it away and I had to ignore it. And my parents brought it in 2016 when I had my daughter. They brought it from Australia to Canada and I finished it
Oh, that's nice.
2 weeks before my daughter was born. I finished it. That was 7 years
Whoa.
ago.
Yes. Oh, you were
So
determined.
I was because in my mind I matched what I was, and it's the
Yeah.
same to this day. If I'm struggling with something, I'm a very abstract art, and it just looks like color on the page. until I start drawing an outline or a figure or it's a tree or whatever it is on top of it that is actually the calm out of that chaos,
Mm.
which is also why I garden as well. I do chaos gardening. So I don't have garden beds.
Chaos gardening.
Chaos gardening.
Okay, I haven't heard of that one. That's new. I'm trying to picture because I like to actually have a flower bed like an actual
Mhm.
garden. But tell me about this chaos gardening.
So chaos gardening, it started a few years ago because have I didn't have the money to buy garden beds. I didn't have the money to buy the wood or the concrete to make garden beds. So what I did was I got super frustrated with it and I threw all of the flower seeds that I had into this patch of dirt that I had dug up and just threw them all there and then went, if it grows, it grows. And I walked away. And 3 weeks later, here comes all these seeds growing. I'm like,
Oh,
I didn't plan this. This isn't how it was supposed to turn out, but it looks even better than if I had planned it. Like, there's no neat little rows and nothing has its place, but it looks like a wild, overgrown forest, but I can see everything and it kind of all goes together. So I still do it where I'll find a patch and I'll take 4 or 5 different seeds and I'll just literally into the place, into the garden and walk away. And what grows, grows. What doesn't, doesn't. And we actually turn that into an exercise with the kids that if they were struggling with something, if they had been dwelling on something all winter, or if something had been bothering them, what they did was they write it down on paper and we actually buried it in the garden as we laid the seeds.
ah,
So they were putting it in there to give it away so that they weren't thinking about it anymore. And the seeds that they were putting in there were all the good thoughts that they would say about themselves as they were planting them that were then going to grow. And every time they looked at that little garden that was their garden, they could still remember everything that they said about themselves to combat whatever it was that they were struggling with.
I like that.
So,
I like that. Okay, chaos gardening.
chaos gardening.
I love it.
Mhm.
Okay,
You know
now
where it comes from?
that's I was about to say. Did you point that? But
I didn't.
you didn't. Okay,
It comes from the shack.
the sh- wait, that's a book
It
or a
is. It's a
movie.
book. It is.
Okay.
And a movie.
Okay.
So the garden that he walks into, which is his mind, is all this overgrown garden that has no kind of sense of direction or any order to it. That was kind of wow. To me, okay, this is how our minds work. Each and every single plant is a thought or an idea or an emotion or a memory. They're not separated from anything else inside of our minds. They all kind of mesh together. But if you can clear a space, if you're really dealing with something and you have to pull out the weeds or the negative thoughts or the hard emotions that you're dealing with to clear space so that you can kind of sit in yourself and deal with whatever you're dealing with,
Mm,
that is huge. And a
that
lot of
is
people
huge.
connect with gardening because it's outside. You're outside of the house, you're in fresh air, you can ground yourself down through the earth. It's an easier one for people to connect with. And working with the different community organizations that we do now, gardening is a huge therapy. So chaos gardening kind of went hand in hand with them.
Right.
And they're like, we don't have like acres and acres to do this. I'm like, we don't need it. I just need a little patch of earth, like 4 or 5 patches of earth, and let them throw seeds in it. They're like, really?
Right. That's it.
Let me try it. Let me show you.
And then it works.
It worked, and they couldn't believe that something so simple that didn't have rules or boundaries
Mm,
could work for people because they're so used to doing therapy. Everything must be in a straight line, and
right.
there's a process that you have to go. I think outside the box. I've always thought outside the box. So I'm a thorn in some people's sides, and I will happily stay that way because we've got to try things new. Otherwise, if we're going to keep doing the same thing over again and we're not getting results, that's the definition of insanity.
Oh, pretty much. Yeah,
Right?
it is. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness, I like that. That is phenomenal. I hope you guys caught all of that. If you didn't, put just scroll back just a little bit and then pay attention to what she said again, and take some notes. I've been writing down over here. So I want to ask you a question. Let me go back. Well, several minutes ago, but you mentioned that you wrote a book. And what's the name of your book?
It's called Leave the Dogma. Religion Screwed the Faith Pooch.
Wait. Okay. Leave.
Leave the Dogma.
Okay,
And then it has a
dogma.
subtitle called Religion Screwed the Faith Pooch.
Ah, okay. And is your book for sale, or is it at on Audible or Amazon
It's
or?
we're working on the Audible. We've almost got the files
Okay.
finalized, but it is on sale on Amazon and also on lulu.com.
Okay. Okay, because I meant to ask you about that earlier because you said your mom didn't realize what was going on until she read your book. So, I wanted to ask you about that. Now, how long ago was it that you completed this book of yours?
2021 is when I published it, self-published it.
Okay, okay, self-publishing.
Hmm.
Yay, that's good. That is huge. So you are very creative, um, very articulate in regards to everything that you do, from quilting to gardening, well, excuse me, chaos gardening, to being an author, and then also managing the household and the family and the husband. Ah, what is something that you would tell someone that they need to do to manage their lives? What is some advice you would give them?
Put yourself first. It
Okay.
it causes some conflicts when you are going either against or you're completely opposite to what your partner wants or what your family wants. But you have to do what makes you happy and gives you fulfillment before trying to give to other people. Because if you're not at 100% and you're not where you want to be or you're not doing what you want to do, there's this resentment that builds up. You present your kids, your family, your partner, your career, whatever it is, because you're not satisfied and you don't see your life where it needs to be or where you want it to be, you're not going to be happy doing anything around you. There's a conflict. It's kind of like sandpaper,
Hmm.
and it starts small, but sandpaper long time starts to really hurt
Yes,
and it creates a sore spot.
definitely.
That's what it feels like. So you have to put yourself first, whether if you're going back to school, you go and do night classes and you do one subject a month or one subject every couple of months, or if you need time away from your house because you want to go back to the gym or you want to take yoga or meditation or you want to do art classes or something for you that's yours, communicate it with the other people in the house. Like, look, Thursday night I'm out from like 6:30 to 8:30. I ain't here. Just pretend I'm not here. Even if you're hiding in your bedroom doing online classes, pretend I'm not here.
Hmm. Don't bother me.
I have become invisible.
Right.
I am invisible. So you've got to take care of yourself first, and that's hard for mums because we take care of our kids always, and we're always doing everything for them. And if you're a wife or a partner, if there's other identities who watch this, then you're always taking care of your partner, and you see that as part of your identity. That I have to take care of my partner, whether you're a man, woman, trans, bi, whichever. That's not. Could you? What if that ends? And what's your identity outside of that relationship? So the biggest thing is doing for you first. And if that means you are single for however long it takes to figure that out, and then you find someone who supports you in your life the way you want your life to be, it was meant to happen. Luckily, if you're like me with my husband, he was very understanding. He's like, you go do you because you're not okay. You're not okay. And I did. And it was after having my daughter, because I got PPD very quite heavily, um, to the point where I was going to run away from my family, my child, everything. So he was the one that said, "You need to go and fix whatever you need to do.
Right.
I got this."
Oh, that's love. That's big love.
Hmm.
Yeah. To be able to support you and to meet you where you are. Because like you said, if you don't take care of you, how you gonna take care of everything else?
That's
It
right.
doesn't work. And we try
Nope.
to make it work, but it doesn't work. That's why we're struggling and having difficulties with that. Thank you for being transparent and sharing that. Because that's a big step.
Hmm.
That's a big step. Now, Felicity, I know, are you on social media? Do you want people to follow you on social media, or should they just go and buy your book at Amazon?
I would love for people to go and buy my book. It's not about counseling. It's not about mental health. It was actually part of my spiritual journey and everything that I've gone through to where I am now. But I'm on TikTok mostly. I've kind of given up on Facebook and Instagram. I'm I'm done with them.
Above that.
Ugh, I can't deal with it anymore. I go to TikTok to get away from the drama on Facebook and Instagram, and somehow it still seems to follow me there
It
because I keep
follows
getting
you.
tagged in things, and I'm like, stop it! I no, no,
It's like, just don't tag me.
just don't tag me. But you know what? By every rights, it's because people find things, and they're either old colleagues of mine or they're old clients of mine. They're like, "What do you think?" And I'm like, "Oh, don't do it, don't do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it."
Don't do it. Don't do it.
It's interesting seeing some of the conversations that come across onto TikTok, which is where I do a lot of my content now, is people will actually have conversations over there rather than on I say the original social medias, because they were the original social medias. Nobody wants to have a conversation. It's I'm right, you're wrong, shut up, sit down. And that's the end of the conversation.
And that's the end of the conversation. That's not a conversation, right?
Right? That's not a conversation. It's a dictatorship. It's not a conversation. So I started over on TikTok. We're almost at 3K over on TikTok right now. It's called Building Canimbla, because
Okay.
Canimbla is actually, and I think there's a chat function here. I'm gonna put this down here for you. Canimbla is actually going to be the name of the rehab shelter counseling center that I'm building in the next 5 years.
Wow.
So
I'm
that's
excited
my
for
goal.
you.
Is where we're going, is to build this center, this, healing retreat. I haven't quite figured out what I want to classify it as yet, because there's so many things that it covers.
Right.
But Canimbla is back to my Australian roots, which is an Australian native word meaning hidden or healing valley.
Oh, okay.
So I'm bringing it here, and I have support from some of the First Nations here in Canada, in Alberta, that they're like, that is actually a really good idea. When are you building this? I'm like, I've still got like 5 years of red tape to break through. Okay, so just chill.
Right.
Give me some time, please. Like, okay, cool. When you're ready, let us know. That was easy. But so I think again, it comes down to the right place at the right time with the right people.
Definitely.
So we had a conference called a Recovery Capital Conference in February this year, where there was leaders from all across different mental health sectors across Canada. We're all here in Calgary, as well as the First Nation elders and some of the chiefs and the administrators as well. So there was 2,500 of us in a room for 3 days.
Oh my goodness.
It
Oh, I know there was a lot of knowledge being shared at that conference.
blew my mind. And now, working with shelter movers, I work with 7 of the organizations on a daily basis from that conference.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And when they
Well,
realize, they're like, wait, you're the chick from the recovery I'm like, Yeah. Hi, that's me. How you doing?
You're the chick.
You're that chick because I went in as a student, right? I didn't put myself out there as a counselor. I
Ah.
went in as a student. I'm here to learn and understand. And then coming back out of school, I can apply everything that I learned as a counselor. So they're like, what changed in the last like 6 months? I'm like, doing this job and
Mhm.
getting back to my counseling is what changed.
Mm. Oh, I love that. Well, definitely kudos to you. That is going to be awesome. I can't wait to learn more about your journey, and 5 years that center is going to open, and it's going to be a blessing and an impact to anyone that works there, anyone that comes in connection with the organization, and also providing a service. I think that is great. I think that is great. So, Felicity, I know we've been on here for a minute, but I do appreciate you coming on Share the Tea Tuesdays. We have learned quite a bit of information in regards to talking about change, mental health, and coping, and journeying, and everything. Just being able to breathe and make connections and doing what you need to do for you. And like she said, put you first. Put you first. Listen, that's a reminder for me because lately, and this is me being in confession now. Lately, I've been putting the business first, and I haven't been doing what I need to do for me. So, and I know I'm guilty of that. So I'm working on that. So thank you for putting that to the front, just to say, hey, you gotta take care of you because the business not gonna work if you're not here.
It doesn't. It doesn't. If
No.
you're not at 100%, then your business is it doesn't do what it needs to do.
Right.
And it's a hard lesson
Absolutely.
learned, and we forget it from time to time. I am totally guilty of that.
Me too.
I am. Yep.
Yep. But it's good for us to know that we're not alone, right? Like you
Never
said from the
alone.
beginning, you're never alone. And look, she has experienced the same thing, and we're thousands and thousands of miles away from each other.
Hmm.
So always remember that you're not alone. Well, Felicity, I appreciate you. It's been a pleasure for you to come on, and I hope that this is not the last time that we interact with each other.
Not at all. Thank you so much.
Yes, and as soon as you restart that podcast again, send me that link so I can go and tune in and follow and share and all those wonderful things too.
Oh, I will. Don't you worry. I'm planning on the start of November. We've already got a couple of people lined up, so
Okay,
I will let you know
perfect.
really soon.
No, right, November is right around the
It
corner. We're
is,
not gonna
yes.
talk it up too fast.
And it goes hand in
Yes.
hand with the fact that my parents are coming from Australia.
Oh, that's wonderful. You said I had a
Oh,
whole house full.
oh my! They're not staying with me. I don't have a room.
Oh, okay. She's like,
There's 8 people in my house right now, so there's four
Okay.
kids and 4 adults right now. It's not happening.
Right. It's just not happening. It's
Not unless
okay.
they're sleeping on my couch.
Well, I don't blame you. All right, so guys, I hope that you enjoyed this segment with Felicity Long, just talking about things in general, and remind yourself to be true to you. That's something that I always say. Be true to you. Don't worry about anything else, and always focus on what you need to do. Remember to be intentional, be insightful, and definitely be impactful in everything that you do. And remember, you can follow Share the Tea on social media and all of the channels except for Snapchat. But I'm on all of them. And then also follow me on LinkedIn and YouTube. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'll be trying to remember all these things to say. It's like a commercial. But anyways,
Too
hey.
many.
Right, it's too many. Like just follow me. Put it in a Google search and then go through there and click each one. That's bad to say. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm working on it. Okay, I'm working on it. All right, well, you stay blessed, Felicity. Until the next time. Thank you.
Thank you, V.
You're welcome. Bye, guys.